Hello everyone, 20 here, and I'm here with a brand new live stream. And today's live stream is going to be for something you're probably all wondering, and that was back around 2 years ago, how my YouTube channel all started and why it got made. So, yeah, this is what today's live stream is going to be. Today we're going to discuss how my YouTube channel all started and how my love for movies all started. So, here we go. It all started. Hello, Lucamus Prime. It all started around the year 1998. Well, for me, anyways, when during the time of movies, the year of movies like Blade, A Bug's Life, There's Something About Mary, Saving Private Ryan, and Deep Impact. This was the year I was born. And around 1999 and 2000 and 2001, I was just kind of just born, really didn't know much of the world. But then around 2002, I think that was the year 2002, I kind of got introduced to movies. And I don't know what my first movie was, what I went to go see, but I think it was Ice Age or something. But after I saw my first movie in theaters, I kind of got a little fascinated with movies. A little bit, and I kind of realized what my passion was likely going to be. So around 2003, 2004, I started getting really obsessed with films. I even had like certain character costumes. I've even had certain toys from certain films, and I had a whole VHS collection that I would sometimes watch a film on VHS when I got home from school. Kind of, and around 2004, Revenge of the Sith, nice one, look at this. I Around 2004 was the year I got introduced to Star Wars. Yeah, the original trilogy. And then around the prequels, then I finally saw what was probably my first legendary franchise around that year. And 2004 is when I really started to remember certain films I saw around that time. And around 2004, I also got introduced to the world of Marvel. When that happened, the first Marvel movies I actually watched, by the way, guys, were Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. Yeah, and Spider-Man 2 I had on VHS, and I always just loved watching the shit out of that VHS tape. Every time, almost every single week. I just loved Spider-Man 2 that much. Then, of course, yeah, then 2005, my passion for films started to grow because that was the year I saw films like Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and that was the that was probably the first Star Wars movie I saw in the theaters, and yeah, and that was also the year I got introduced to the prequels. And I actually do like the prequels, believe it, guys. I know a lot of people don't, but I certainly do. But anyway, back to this whole live stream. So yeah, 2006, 2007, 2008, I was pretty much now this big movie fan. However, when I was in elementary school, I bear I hardly fit in actually when it came to elementary school life, but of course at least I had movies there to guide me through my life. And yeah, but hello Ryan Connor. Okay, what was I thinking? But yeah, well, that was what it was. God, okay, I'm brain dead now. But and then as I got older, I started getting into other certain social activities. Like some of them I didn't really like, and I did play some sports as a kid, but sports just weren't my thing. But I do work out, guys. Just sports just weren't my thing. I do like watching hockey on TV, but yeah, I like watching sports on TV a little better than actually kind of playing them. Just wasn't very experienced with sports. Yeah, then around the 2010s, as I got older, as I got into middle school and high school, I started to go through some more maturing changes. Like there were some bad times in my high school life, and there were some good times in my high school life. Like those I just don't really those those I just won't really talk about. I don't want to talk about those moments. But yeah, as we progress into the 2010s era, some films after like 2012, some films just really started to get a little iffy. That's when it was around 2013 when I started finding films that I didn't like around before like when I was born and that's a nice sport basketball. But anyway, around I was like born and all the way till 2012, I hardly found any movies I hated because I was like still that small kid. But around 2013, I think I watched the first movie I actually hated, and that was Taken 2. Yes, Taken 2 was probably the first movie I actually did not like. Ever. That's when I finally started finding movies I didn't like. But then again, guys, well, Taken 2 came out in 2012. Hello, X Blaze. No, in 2012. I didn't see it in theaters, though. I saw that when it came out on, like, DVD and streaming. But yeah, 2013 in general is, everything's good, X Blaze. But 2013 in general was probably just quite one of the worst years for films ever. Probably the first bad year for films I discovered. But yes, absolutely, Lucas Prime. It was. But yeah, like there were so many bad films in 2013, like Iron Man 3, Star Trek Into Darkness. Yes, guys, I did not like Into Darkness. I'm just not a big Star Trek fan in general. The yeah, just a few bad films and bad films. There were like maybe some rare good ones that came out around that time, but like Gravity, Video, well, it's 12 Years a Slave, and yeah, and not no, I'm not including Frozen Guys because I hate that movie too. That also counts as the bad films of 2013. But anyway, the point is, 2013 just sucked. It's one of the worst years of my life and the worst years for films in general. Thankfully, 2014 was like better. Okay, I'm forgetting some stuff, but I think around the but was better. But 2015 would later be birth to one of my favorite sequels of all time. That was Mad Max Fury Road, and then came the let's get on to the big year 2016. 2016 was the year I had graduated high school and able was finally able to actually go, yes, X Blaze, it actually was the best year for games. Glad you brought that up. But 2016, I graduated high school, and I finally now was able to transition into the real world as an adult. As that. And during that time, I had a few work experience jobs. I mean, I did work in a thrift store as a little bit of a work experience job. I did work in an office as a bit of a work experience job all the way till June 2017. Should I think about? Oh yeah, I did also work in Cineplex for work experience. One of my theaters. Ah, good year you graduated in, Ryan. Yeah, I also worked in a grocery store called Thrifty Foods, which sadly closed down. Yeah, for the first years of my work experience for them, and I actually thought they were pretty cool job system. Oh yeah, and I also did some work experience at a summer camp. That's no longer a thing. I don't know why, but I think they just went out of business. Yeah, most of like now I think about it, even some of the places I did work experience at went out of business. Like that thrift store I worked at went out of business. Thrifty Foods went out of business. Not all of them though. The Simplex theater I did work experience at is still going, obviously, because that's a big theater chain. Now, I also did work experience at Toys R Us, and yes, in my place, we still have Toys R Us's since they only since they have not gone bankrupt in my place. I did a work experience at Toys R Us, and if you're wondering if I went to college, yeah, I went to college. Of course, I went to college. Like 2 years of college, actually. During the first year of college, that was the whole career employment apprenticeship program, which was where I did the Cineplex and Thrifty Foods work experiences. I liked the first year. It was around like the second year, which was the warehouse training program, which I was actually not a fan of either. Like I didn't really like there was forklift training that I really did not like, and I just wasn't like warehouse material and stuff, and I realized I was more retail material, and I'm actually happy to be in retail. But and that brings us to the year 2017. I went to college in 2017. Guys, and 2017 was also another atrocious year. Not just for my life, for things I'm not going to mention, but it was also a bad year for films. But there was a lot more good films in 2017 than there were in 2013. Like 2017 gave us like Logan, Guardians Volume 2, Wonder Woman, and War for the Planet of the Apes, and Coco, Thor Ragnarok, Blade Runner 2049, which would be my favorite movie of the year, one of my favorite sequels of all time. And that was coming from someone who did not actually like the first one. Or, okay, no. I did like the first one, I just wasn't really like a master. I wouldn't really call the first one a masterpiece per se. 2049 was better. But 2017, that was a year of so many bad movies I've had to go through. Like, yeah, there was the Emoji Movie. There was Justice Week. There was, of course, dare I say it, somewhat Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, guys, I'm not a fan of Homecoming. There was also, let's not forget, how we ended this whole damn year. The Last Jedi. Uh, yeah, that was, yeah, like, and that's what's worse is 2017 actually started off pretty good. It had ended miserably. And it got worse and worse as it progressed. But, but enough about that. Then came like, and then there was another important year that was 2018. In 2018, that was pretty much the year where I actually got my first two jobs. The first job I got was actually a warehouse job, which I did not like. And then of course came, and I kind of left within a year. But my leaving of her unemployment didn't last very long, because 3 months later, I finally got an actually proper job, this time in retail, and that was the place I work at now, which is the meat shop. And I've worked there now for like 4 years. I mean, soon to be 4 years once October hits. I started around October 2018. And 2018 was actually one of the best years of my life. Like, I not only just got my first actually great job that's actually paid me very well, but that was also the year some of my favorite movies of all time came out that year. Like, Avengers Infinity War would go on to be the best MCU movie for me. Gotta think of some others like Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse even. Just so many films that would Hereditary. Those films would all make it to my favorite movies of all times list. But so that was pretty much a great year for me. I know a lot of people may say 2018 was sucked for them, but for me it was great. And then of course came my first actually fully employed year, and that was 2019, the final year of the 2010s. Around like 2019, 2019 was like okay, really there were some good things and there were some bad things, but for movies that year, it was kind of mixed. I mean, yeah, we had Avengers Endgame, we had Far From Home, and what else may I say? Ford v Ferrari, even, and just a few other good ones in general. But there are But there are also, oh yeah, and Doctor Sleep as well. Doctor Sleep I also did enjoy, but and there were also some bad movies that pretty much that not only were just bad sequels, but these bad sequels even just killed their franchises. Like dare I say it, Dark Phoenix, Dark Fate, or Dark Woke as I call it, The Fall of Skywalker, or and even to some degree, It Chapter Two, which I get, even though that's technically not a sequel, more of an epilogue. It Chapter Two was quite a disappointment compared to Chapter One, and what and the big franchise killing sequel that started off the year 2019 was, of course, the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Yes, guys, I don't like that movie either. I did like it around the time, but as I've watched Lego Movie 2, I've really gone on to kind of not like it and kind of see why some people don't. Yeah, well, Lucamus Prime, I actually hated Dark Fate the minute the first day I saw it. Just much like Empire Fan Productions did, but back to this live stream, and now I know that that's not really much of a birth for YouTube. Those years weren't much of a birth for my YouTube channel per se. Well, around September 2019, I was kind of just this Empire Fan Productions fan who just commented on his videos and or just commented my thoughts, and I did try to think of it. Hello there, gets this man a shield. Did think about it, but I just thought I didn't really have it in me around that time. I didn't really think I'd have much talent in me around that time. So I didn't really make videos around then with my original attempt at YouTube back in September 2019 before I just kind of, but yeah. The, then came January 2020. Well, December 2019, New Year's Eve actually did seem good. It's what was awaiting me next year that wasn't. But before we get to all that stuff, let's talk about the first 2 months of 2020. Around January 2020, much like Empire Fan Productions, I went on hiatus for a little while because I didn't think I would have much YouTube talent in me. And plus, Empire Fan Productions was kind of going on hiatus around that time before he announced his retirement. But anyway, like the first 2 months were pretty good. I mean, it did start off promising. I mean, I had to go get my phone fixed at an Apple store on New Year's Day, but then the rest of the days turned out to be fine. And the rest of the month was not so bad. I mean, and not a bad, and it was starting to prove to be an actually nice year for films. Like at least we had Bad Boys for Life to start off the year, and then of course maybe Birds of Prey, depending on your opinions, guys. But I think Birds of Prey is okay. Really, I don't think it's terrible per se. I mean, there are some things I like about it, and there are some things I really despise about it, like Black Mask's death, like you all pretty much know. But anyway, with that being said, there was also at least that month. At least in that month, we had Sonic. Yes, 2020 sucks, Ryan. At least in like February 2020, we at least had Sonic the Hedgehog, which was nice. Well, yeah, then the rest of the month was just really. And then March 2020, the first week of March 2020 was good, but all I heard about March 2020, which was now known as COVID, was just some sickness going on. I Googled sickness. I saw nothing, really. I saw no information on a lot of sickness. Like, there was no results when I searched whoever they were talking about. And then, of course, it was around next week on the first day back at work of the second week of March 2020 was when I found out what the sickness was called. And the first beginning of that week was fine. It was around March 12th when everything went to shit. Now, while I was one of the only jobs that, since my job was essential, I still had my job since I work in a food store per se. But before I was thankfully allowed to keep my job, the first times did not start off well. I was actually thought my job was gonna actually have to close. So yeah, March 2020 was probably one of the most miserable months ever. Not just because of COVID. Mine began around like March 16th. But yeah, so I kind of had to go to the I kind of had to go to the or my country place for most of the entire year of 2020 because the city part was actually kind of the most dangerous spots for the disease. Yeah, like the first 2 months were miserable for me. But then around like May 2020, out of boredom, I decided to do a random franchise ranking. And that was, of course, for the Harry Potter franchise. So, but with that being, eventually, and this is where, and now we get to where YouTube began. Around YouTube, no, around when I made that video, my dad noticed it, and and he's and he suggested I started it, and he recommended I start a YouTube channel. Which, by the way, guys, which you can all predict on that day, my YouTube channel formed, I did. And you all remember I first was just called Gorilla G Roxon. And and the first day I uploaded my very first 3 videos. Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss too, Lucamus. That's tough. Which was that Harry Potter franchise ranking, and that Try Not to Cry challenge with that little PSA tie video. Yeah. And I was originally called Gorilla G Roxon. And and then my first real full YouTube video voice comparison I did was, of course, the RoboCop voice comparison. And that's when a legend was born. However, as months progressed, I got bored of my Gorilla G Roxon name and felt it wasn't really attracting a lot of fans. So I had to think of something I was known for talent for. I didn't really want to come up with a little movie character nickname because I didn't really want to copy some of my other subscribers' channels' names. And so I just decided to come up with my very own name, something that actually showed my passion. And I certainly did not want to use my real name for my channel, either. Not like, I mean, I get some of these movie reviewers I was inspired by use their real names, but but guys, they're professionals. Those are professional YouTubers. And they're much older than me. But with that being now, and that name, of course, would go on to be none other than Movie Lover 120. I forget which month I formed that name. I think it was June or I think it was July 2020, but around like summer, that name was officially formed. I started to grow some better subscribers around then. And eventually, around October 2020, I realized my blank wall was kind of just boring in the background. I needed some, and I saw some people had posters on their walls, and I decided I needed to get posters for my walls too, so they know I'm a movie reviewer. So you saw those first 2 posters on my wall around October 2020, which was that Stranger Things 3 poster, and that, well, I hate to say as I got the Star Wars Fall of Skywalker poster on my wall, but I needed a Star Wars poster on there, and that was to show that I was a Star Wars fan, so unfortunately that would be the one. Yeah, but anyway, the point is I started to decorate my wall a little bit to have a little more feature on it. Like I had some like Avengers pictures on there, and I had some on that wall. Like they were originally there, but I kind of moved them above my TV now because I replaced them with some actually printed movie posters that I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, as those months progressed, like around the around like June 2020, my first lockdown lifted, but then in November 2020, my second lockdown happened. And the second lockdown was less strict actually. because while the second one, the retail stores in my place were open, and surprisingly the restaurants somehow were open, the theaters then shut down again. And that one lasted more than 3 months. But, however, there was kind of a catch. This time I was actually able to watch some of the new releases because those new releases were also being dumped to streaming, which pretty much would be the film that wrapped up this year, wrapped up this horrid year of 2020. That was Wonder Woman 1984, which is how that really began. And I ended 2020 with 60 subscribers. So there was one bonus, but thankfully 2020 was gone. And I finally moved on to the better year was 2021. In 2021, I started to finally improve, and around February 2021, I realized I needed an intro. Because my 2020 intro was just Movie Lover 120, and then I said the name of the video, which was not really an intro. So I needed a better one. One that actually showed clips, which was my first one you saw. Sorry guys, I'm a little brain dead on this stuff, but yeah, that was around February 2021 was my first one, and that intro started off with the Tom and Jerry review, and you all know Tom and Jerry sucked, but that was my first review to actually have that intro. But at least thankfully March 2021 had better films for me. Yeah, and I got a little more experience then, but my first intro was actually just clips of my videos, and I realized that wasn't very convincing intro. So around July 2021 or June 2021, I changed it to actual clips being put in those shots. And I'm very glad I did. But yeah, 2021 was overall just a better year for films, and actually one of the better years for me. Despite the whole disease still happening, 2021 actually proved to still be good for me. 2021 was the year I moved into this place, but I still have my country house, guys. And I actually finally started recording videos from my iPad. And it's gotten way better for me because I've actually started getting more and more subscribers with the better quality. But yeah, so all in all, yeah. And around May 2021, hello Shadow, when that second lockdown was just starting to end, I had gained over 100 subscribers in May 2021, and I was pretty much now starting to get into the big leagues. So yeah, so we know how the rest of 2021 went for me. There were some ups and downs. The downs were all the heat wave, and also the other downs of 2021 was this big flood in my area that almost kind of cut off the supply chain and brought back so many panic shops all around my place. But thankfully that's like now resolved. But yeah, still. But other than that, 2021 was still a pretty phenomenal year. I've gotten way, and we all know that's led on to this year now, 2022. I'm now with 227 subscribers, gained around 200 subscribers around the beginning of January, and everything's still going strong and very well. But yeah, so yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much a summary of how my passion for movies started. Yes, Shadow, Space Giant 2 was the worst movie of 2021 for me. That was how my whole passion for movies started, and also how my channel all started and formed in the first place. So yeah, that's how it all started, guys. And with that being said, so that's it for this whole live stream. I hope you all enjoyed this whole live stream. Until then, that'll be it for this live stream, guys. Thank you all for watching. And if you'd like to want to see more, then don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.